Hey K-drama fans, this is our weekly K-drama watch list where we watch as many current shows as we can and then come back and react, respond, deep dive, review all of our favorite moments. So grab your coffee and let's talk K-dramas.
If you are new to our channel, welcome. You have found the most fun K-drama hangout on YouTube. But if you don't want to be spoiled, we have chapters below and we have timestamps in the comments so you can check it, not be spoiled, because you have found the K-drama copy klatch and we have so many thoughts to share.
So many. And as we always do, let's get started with Monday, Tuesday. All right. Do you like Brahms? Marisa, this show came out of nowhere and I love it.
I love it so much too.
So much.
It is just, is it the pace? Is it that
it's
quiet? Is it that there's two love triangles?
Oh my God.
One, but
so
two?
many, it's so many love triangles. But maybe it's all of that. It's just, it kind of reminds me, and I wrote in my notes, it kind of has that same kind of feel of Unfamiliar Family, where it's all the characters are kind of fleshed out. You're interested in kind of where all their stories go. It's very quiet. They're not life and death stakes. It's real life. I mean, maybe that's what it is. Like, there's no dead mom or dead, father that is spurning them on. It's just, there's two love triangles. They're the odd person out and they find each other. And I just love that so much. It's just so simple.
Yeah, no one's hysterical. And even though there are tropey characters and tropey setups, no one's like the 2-second females in the triangles are typically would be just like too much.
Right.
But they're not.
No.
And even the people working in the foundation who are usually kind of maniacally, subverting information and trying to take people down. They're not. They're just, maybe a little questionable, but no one's out of control.
Right.
And it's just beautiful.
It is. It's gorgeous. And the music is gorgeous. And I appreciate music, but I'm not like a music lover or anything, but just the pianos and the orchestras and like even their OST, just the background music is just so everything about it is gorgeous. Not to mention our two leads. Oh my God.
That's right. Okay. So if you love music, so there are two things happening. The OST, if you love OSTs, you've got Punch and you've got Chen from EXO, who are like the king and queen of OSTs. But if you love classical music, or really, it's just so well done in that they tied the actual story of Brahms and Clara into the plot is just nice little bow there.
Such a nice little bow. And I really enjoyed Kim MinJae in Romantic Dr. Teacher Kim, but he's mesmerizing in this. Like, his presence is so, yes, he's attractive. I don't even mean that, but just his presence in general in every scene. I'm just like, what is he doing? What is happening? There's so much going on. And then his chemistry with Park EunBin is just, it's so lovely. Like, it's just lovely.
Can I mention his voice? He's got this deep voice that is just so... It's beautiful.
It's beautiful.
He's beautiful. And her countenance is so lovely. But Jen, I need your help. How is her name pronounced? And how does that sound like I'm sorry or that she's apologizing?
Oh, it's 죄송합니다 is how you would say I'm sorry. And I'm working on my pronunciation, so I apologize if I kind of bombed that, is how you would say I'm sorry. So when she says 죄송아, she's then saying 이에요, so it's coming out. So when she says it formally, 입니다 is the ending for the proper ending. And so when she says her full name, the syllables all sound the same and they run together. So that's why they keep thinking that she is. So her name, it would be 죄송이에요, and if you were saying 죄송이에요 is also I'm sorry. I am sorry is 죄송합니다, and her name is 죄송합니다. So it's it's that one beat that they're missing, and that's why it's kind of the running gag. And if any Korean speakers are out there, I apologize if my pronunciation, I'm learning and I'm doing my best, but I do understand what that reference is. So yes.
That is the most clever piece of writing that explains her character and her history and her personality so much.
And that moment when he got it and she's like, oh, he's like, I know. I was like, I love it. And I think that's the other thing. It's obviously a show. I mean, that's what I'm hoping the show now goes toward down the path of, instead of it being tropey and angsty, I'm hoping it's that these two people whose first loves kind of blew up in their faces find second love, and it's even more rewarding, is what I'm hoping this is going towards. But what I'm really enjoying is that in any other show, all of their chance meetings would have been this huge overlay of fate. And one of them would have kind of gotten over the top with it, and they just haven't with this. With them, it's just kind of been like, oh, weird.
I know. But he did quietly mention fate when they were riding in the taxi.
True.
Like, because of course.
Well, of course. But I appreciate that it was a quiet mention. It wasn't like suddenly, he's like stalking her because this is, you know what I'm saying? Like there's just, there's something just so delicate about, I just am really digging it just so much.
And I just want to say 2 of our favorite actresses are in this. Ye Si-jung, who plays the chairperson, the grandmother. And also So Jung-yeon, who is our favorite mom of all time.
I was so happy to see her. Oh man, and she's again, where in King Eternal Monarch, I don't think they gave her anything really to do. I'm so happy to see her kind of in the muck, for lack of a better word. Like she's in the story and she's key, and she's been Park Jun-young's kind of guardian for all these years. So I'm really, the show, I really was not expecting, again, I was not expecting to like it. And I love it.
I know.
So
I think it's my favorite show of the week. It's
really?
Yeah, I really do.
It's definitely,
I'm just loving it.
It's definitely, because as we've talked in a lot of the lives, like I love the fact that right now we have so many, like you have so many options. You've got the romantic drama, you've got the crime thriller, you've got sci-fi, you've got fantasy, you've got there's so many options. So this is it's like all of them right now. It's amazing. But this is definitely my top 2 for sure, because my number 1. Oh yeah, go ahead.
Well, yeah. The number 1. That's true.
Oh, okay. That's
they're so different though.
They're so different. Yes. Because my number 1 is Wednesday, Thursday. All right, y'all. Flower of Evil. I'm sorry. It's I don't know if it's just been, we've been trapped in our houses for so long that this has just been a really good run of K-dramas this year. And just because there's nothing else to do, but my God, Flower of Evil is just another in a long lines of super satisfying shows for me. And this show is just so much delicious fun in just the craziness that is ensuing. I can't get enough. Like I love this show so much.
I don't know. I think it's just that right chemistry between the writer and the director and Lee JoonGi and ChaeWon, like those two together, and it's just the wackadoo story.
Right? It's just the writer and the director are so on the same page of like that. I think I put this out as a tweet like early on. Like this is like that, either that movie or that book that you go back to every year, even though you know every beat. It just was so satisfying that you watch it over and read it over and over again, because it's just, the director knows how deliciously fun these super close-ups are, and the slow-mo and and just the reveals, and the writer knows exactly how to craft and build that story so that everything's I have just freaking loved this show so freaking much. And this week was no exception.
Oh, so much happened.
So much happened. All right. In a sea of a ton that happened, Marisa, what was your favorite moment?
A moment? Oh my God. Okay. This is going to be hard because, as you know, everyone, we do a top 3 moment. It's at the end of this video. So be sure to stick around for that.
It was
so hard to pick one because so much happened. And these characters are also amazing. The daughter is adorable. The sister,
the sister,
I think
best.
the daughter, she's good.
She's so good. I love her so
she's
much.
The like cutest child ever with her egg tarts.
Her little egg tarts and her little her barrettes. And the way she talks to dad. She's just like, you can't cry like that. You're an adult. Oh, God bless. So cute.
I know. Favorite moment. I don't know if there is one. You know what? Every time JoonGi just kind of looks to the side, that's my favorite moment. He just like he's thinking and he's figuring something out, and he just has this look, and I'm like, oh my.
As you guys all know, who watch some of the live, I have been like on an JoonGi tear since this one. He's never been my favorite. But all of a sudden, I cannot get enough JoonGi, right? So I've been like sampling like all of the ones I can find. And while I'm enjoying
Scarlet Heart Rio,
I haven't been able to find that one. I have to go off grid for that one because that one seems to be the big one that I'm supposed to be watching, but it's not available on Viki or Cocoa or any of the big players, right? Any of the legal players, I should say.
I
tried them all. Yeah, right? You know what? I think it's available on Viki, but not in our region, so I wasn't able to watch it. So it's out of region. So, I've dabbled in 2 weeks, solid show, enjoy it, not great. I mean, he's good in it. I like it. I've tried rewatching, Lawless Lawyer, and it's enjoyable, but this show, this character, this Do Hyun-soo and Baek Sung dual role, it is perfect. Like, he was born to play this role. Like, I love it. He's just so freaking good playing both sides of that. Like, and like, I totally bought him being someone who didn't believe he had emotions to someone all of a sudden realizing he has an unbelievable amount of emotions, and his reaction to all these emotions is basically to have an anxiety attack. And I'm like, dude, I get you. And so I'm so enjoying watching that progression with him and his character. And it's just been so good to the big reveal at the end. Oh. Like the flip flop of all of that to get there. Oh, Marisa, it was so freaking good.
It's action packed. The show.
So action, right?
Yeah. Like so much actually happens with the plot that it's so enjoyable and it keeps you riveted. And then they have this big booming, like dramatic music.
So, oh my God, their music, the needle drops in this show, like are amazing, right?
Yeah.
You're just like,
I know. Yeah. This is what I love about K-dramas because it's so over the top. But then you'll have these moments between JoonGi and ChaeWon where they're husband and wife and the music lightens up a lot and they're just so lovely together. So I'm wondering, so because of the coronavirus, they stopped shooting, right?
Yeah.
So we are if you consider that we usually have 2 a week, it's kind of off by one.
Right.
So we're heading into the final 3, and we've noticed a bit of a trend recently where the dramatic plot gets wrapped up like not at the end of episode 16, but a little earlier so that you can spend some time with these characters and know that they're okay.
Right.
I'm really hoping that happens.
Right? Yeah, absolutely. So it's not really theory, but I'm curious what your thoughts are on Mom.
His mom?
The mom, right? Yeah.
Wow.
It's actress Nam Kie. And that's the other thing. These parents, I'm really enjoying how fleshed out they are as characters. Like their introduction to where we are now, I just feel just as actors. I mean, again, because unfortunately at a certain age, they all get like relegated to the mom and dad roles and there's not a lot of heavy lifting. There's not a lot to do. And I just feel like these two characters have been so juicy and so amazing. And I am just enjoying it so much. But in my notes with Mom, so Kim MinJae, I wrote in my notes, I'm like, oh, after she stabbed her son, her real son, when he was going to bury JoonGi alive, right? And I was like, oh, Mom's going to save the day. And then I was like, oh no, Mom's not going to save the day. Wait, maybe Mom will save the day. Mom is starting to remind me of, do you remember the movie, like, it's like an 80s movie. It was with Macaulay Culkin and Elijah Wood. Elijah Wood called The Good Son. Do you remember that movie?
No.
And so the ending, at the end of the movie, spoiler alert, it's been like 30 years, so you've been warned. But the end of the show, her son is like the serial killer, like psychopath that's like killing people, right? And so at the end of the movie, these two little boys both fall over the cliff, and she's got each of them by their hands, her son and the nephew that she raised, right? And she can only save one. And that's how I feel like we're headed into the finale with Mom in this one. That's my theory. What do you think?
Well, I think she is strung so tight and has been for the last, how many years has this been? 18 years, that she's going to snap big time. Yeah. Because that whole pivot she made from, when her son and the housekeeper, when that happens, I was just like, she was going to take him off life support, and yet now she's like all on board for the deception. So I'm like,
I'm fascinated where she's going with that, because if you remember in the flashback scene where Baek Hae-sung dropped the brick on the dog, no. And so I was like, what? No. And then that's how he met the dad, the evil dad.
Serial killer dad.
Like, even when she was talking to the council, like, you could tell on her face that her son has been off for a while. Like, she knew, like, this was not new. So she's always known that her son was the bad seed. So I'm fascinated with her character so much.
Yeah. Oh,
so
I don't
much.
know. So we have
this show's so
3 episodes, and it's so juicy and good.
I love it so much. All right, you guys. So we're going to throw this one out to you, because we're hearing conflicting reports out in the world. But should we be watching When I Was the Most Beautiful? Like, Marisa watched a few episodes. I haven't watched any, but I'm hearing intriguing things, and I'm all team Ha Suk-jin. So that's my biggest problem with it. What are your thoughts, Marisa?
This cast so much. I love all of these actors. I don't know. Tell us if you're loving it.
Yeah, let us know down in the comments below. We need to know if we need to pick this one back up. Friday, Saturday, Sunday. All right, you guys, we're headed to the midpoint of Alice, episodes 5 and 6. Marisa, how are you doing with Alice?
Oh, I really enjoy it. I'm just totally confused.
Nice.
Because it's not time travel. It's time travel and parallel universes.
Yes.
So
there are a lot of moving parts, for sure.
There are. Are they the people from the future? Are they all living there like forever? Like,
well,
when? Why? How do they not?
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, and I might have just. I felt like someone. What is her name? She is like she's like the office manager, or the point person in Alice. Oh Shi-young, that character. I feel like she said to Yo Min-hyuk at one point, Alice exists in a parallel dimension. And so I don't feel like they actually live anywhere. I feel like they live in a separate universe that then they, from the Alice hub, then can go to wherever. That was how I read that.
So, because they also told the mom who killed her other self, which by the way, they didn't pick. Is that storyline over? I think there's some loose ends there.
Right. Because where did she end up? I forget where she even ended up. Didn't they they transport? No, because during her transport is when she escaped. And then
they just brought her back in. I don't know. I haven't seen her in a while. Yeah. But they said, didn't they say to her, it's only a day in her future other life where she came from, and she could be locked for 10 years away here?
Yes.
I'm confused.
So there's a lot of timey-wimey things happening. We're like, well, even like this week, Park Jin-gyum went to 2010 and was there for like one day, but when he came back, he was gone for a week.
A week.
Yeah. So yeah.
Actually, that should be the other way around.
Right. So I'm a little hazy on the actual rules we have here. But I appreciate that they're attempting to set them up, right? I appreciate that there are some rules, like the rash. I'm excited about the rash being an issue. Not sure why, but at least felt like there was some consequence for interacting. So that was interesting. We had kind of the brain melting of JinGyeom when he was in 2010 with the nose, and then the nosebleed back in 2020. So there's the book, which I'm really enjoying. The book is beautiful. I like the book a lot.
Yes.
Here's my problem. This is my only problem with the show. And this is what ended up happening. And this is my biggest concern, because I'm enjoying the sci-fi elements a lot.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I'm enjoying the sci-fi elements a lot. My problem is the side stories. Like, we've spent so much time with this weird, like, relationship with the mother and son, but people keep misinterpreting it. And then the best friend, Kim Do-yeon, she keeps misinterpreting. I've started fast forwarding through her scenes because she's just become kind of screechy.
She's too much. She's too much, and it doesn't jive. Exactly. So what is the story they're actually telling here? He desperately misses his mother.
Right.
In the first, I think it was episode 5, in the first 10 minutes, there were 3 different versions of Yoon Tae-yi. And, you know, why does she have the same name? She has the same name, right?
Well, because the modern one. She's always going to be Yoon Tae-yi, but just it's all different. So if we it's all different parallel universes. So at some point, kind of, we go back to our example from, which is a bad one, but King Eternal Monarch. When something happened, the timeline breaks off, and those are the different. So she's always Yoon Tae-yi, except as his mom, because then she was Park Sung-young, but that's because she changed her name because she still existed in that timeline.
Right. So, but it's a story that they are family and they're supposed to be together, because then it's not really clear.
Right.
And then, I mean, so I think what they're going to get to is that she is the daughter of the...
Right. Like, I feel like...
Of the writer of the book.
Right. Like, she was the daughter from the first scene in episode 1 who's clutching the one page, right?
Yeah. Yes. But the thing is, they haven't talked about the book a lot. This is what happens with K-dramas. Sometimes they spend so much time on procedural stuff that they're not giving us enough of the actual plot of this story.
Yeah.
So, and that's where I get a little lost, and then that's where my enjoyment wanes. But then I do love all the sci-fi, and I want them to get back to the book, and also our ChaeWon playing Seok-won.
I'm so happy to see him. Yes.
You know, he's always a little mysterious. You're never really sure if he's a good guy or a bad guy.
Right.
You know.
And so I mean, that's kind of where I'm at. Like, I need, and I mean, here's the other thing. Like, now we're getting into things that are making me crazy. Okay. So.
Number 1.
And number 1. This is, I can't anymore with this show. We are on episode 6. And you're telling me that a multi-dimensional time-traveling super unit hasn't been able to figure out that Yoon Tae-yi is Park Jin-gyum's mother? And Yoo Min-hyuk still doesn't know this? Like, how is this humanly possible? Like, when they pulled the stats on Park Jin-gyum, they didn't pull a picture of his mother? Like, that's just big. To me, correct me if I'm wrong. And again, all I do is watch TV. I'm not actually a detective, but isn't that detective work 101 that you kind of look at all of the data you have? Like, it's making me crazy.
Yeah. That totally makes me nuts too. Especially when our, Alice director was like, she was my best friend. I'm like, how do you not know that she's dead?
Yeah.
And that she's the mother of, come on.
How is this not possible? How is this not possible that no one seems to know this? And then when he finally sees the 3 of them together and sees Park Jin-gyum reacting the way he's reacting, he doesn't even attempt to put 2 and 2 together?
I know. Like, he knows that the love of his life stayed in this universe to have their baby. His baby. How do you want to be? So unfortunately, that's what's making me crazy. And then, oh my God. And then this, at the end of the show, I'm sorry. Like, again, I'm enjoying the sci-fi, but walk with me through this one, Marisa. Okay.
So you are a detective.
Yes.
And you just found your mom's best friend murdered in a weird Shoiden whatever cat box, right? You go to the funeral. Yeah. Whatever.
Schrodinger.
Yeah, Schrodinger.
Yeah.
Schrodinger's cat's box, right? Murdered. Nobody knows why, but it has something to do with your timey-wimey time card, right? Yeah. So what do? You escort her home and don't take her in the house and leave? And then she walks to the door and sees that the door is ajar and doesn't call after said detective to check on this when we know that the murderer is still at large? No. She opens the door and enters on her own. Come on. Come on, show. Do better.
I know. It's like you don't excuse it by saying, like earlier, he had told her, I mean, she knew that the card was dangerous and that's why they were coming after her. So of course she makes a duplicate and gives it to her friend.
Of course.
So it's like, I don't know. I was going to say that this show is kind of acknowledging that that's the wrong thing to do, but not. I don't know. Yeah.
So there are elements that I'm loving, but there are so many elements where I'm literally just like scratching through my notes where I'm just like, show, come on now. Come on now. Pull it together, show.
I know. And the thing is, that was only episode 6. We actually have 10 more episodes. So is that right? This is 16?
Is it? Let's see. Let me check. Yeah, 16 episodes. Yeah. So we got 10 more episodes of this.
Ooh, I do have a question if we're going to last all 16. Because again, time travel, it starts getting too convoluted and then your brain literally cannot suspend that much disbelief. And then, at least for you and me, oftentimes we end up dropping the show because it's like, I gave up.
Sometimes we're like, no, this makes no sense. I'm done. Yeah. And it's not, again, I mean, if you even look like Flower of Evil, it's heightened and ridiculous and absurd, but they've managed to make the points all connect together. So the things that are completely ridiculous, I can kind of be like, like the fact that somehow Hee-sung actually hit Hyun-soo with his car and happened to be the son. Like, that's when we just kind of go, really? Okay, you gotta let that go because everything else is so tight.
Right.
Here in Alice, it's like there's like 15 of those moments where you're just like, I just don't know if I can let all of them go. Like, and so that's for me. I'm a little fired up about it. I apologize. But you know me, I love sci-fi. I love good sci-fi. And I'm really bummed out because there's so much sweet goodness here that it's just disappointing to see it kind of throwing it all away.
So fingers crossed that it's good this week.
Because the performances are amazing. I mean, let's be honest. The acting is spot on and fantastic.
Yeah.
It's just the script is just kind of...
They're really good.
It's just a mess. It's a mess. Move on to some more sci-fi. I can't believe I'm not watching this yet, but SF8. Which one are you on, Marisa?
I have watched 3 of them.
Oh, okay.
And it's an anthology.
Yeah.
So why am I going in order? I don't know. I think that just makes my life easier.
Right.
But so it's an anthology series. So they're all super different. All, I believe, different writers and directors for each one.
Okay,
I mean, they're very full and they seem to have a good budget.
Nice.
So they're really well done and they're all completely different. There's nothing linking them. So, if you're a sci-fi lover, it's really good.
You really need to jump into this. Yeah.
Yeah. So the first one was The Prayer with Lee Young as 2 characters, as a person and as a robot. And also Ye Soo-jung, one of our favorite grandmother's not a grandmother. She's always kind of
right.
tough.
Yeah.
Is in it too. And this one was a tough one. This one was tough to watch. That I don't want to give any of it away because it's only one episode.
Right.
Yeah, it's a harder watch, that one. It's definitely it kicks you in the stomach a little bit more. And then Maxine is the second one I watched. You've probably seen the posters. It's Lee Yeon-hae, tough chick on a motorcycle. Always good.
Oh, always good.
Oh, yeah, because she's on a revenge track.
Nice.
Which is also always enjoyable but what's totally enjoyable about this one is that Lee Dong-hui is in it. He was our manager in Pegasus Market.
Yeah.
So he's got this mustache and this long hair. He plays this
nice
ridiculous character. But Jen, the reason you would love this is this is all about fortunes. Ooh. So people are getting a daily fortune or a daily horoscope, and it is, and they're so super accurate that it has just flipped South Korea on its head. And so it's super fascinating.
All right.
That was a really good one.
I'm definitely going to check these out for sure.
Yeah. And then Joan's Galaxy is the third one I watched. And that's also a really lovely story. Kim Bo-ra is in it. She was in her private life as the stalker / new employee in Sky Castle. Yes. But that one was really great because it uses sci-fi. You've got people who get an inoculation that allows them to live for a very long time. And then you have the have-nots who are only going to live 30 years. So you've got this dichotomy of like people who know they have a short lifespan and people who have a very long lifespan. Oh, wow. So how do you live your life?
Yeah.
But what's really great is that this uses sci-fi to tell a very real, human, personal, lovely story. Oh, and nice. that one was excellent.
I'm definitely intrigued. And correct me if I'm wrong. They're one episode and they're like an hour, right?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, so drop in.
I don't know why I haven't picked these up yet. Next week I'll have at least one of them watched. Yes.
Okay, good.
All right, next up we have Missing the Other Side. I'm kind of woefully behind. I'm only like halfway through episode 4, but I'm really enjoying it. I was a little concerned as to how they were going to sustain this concept over, how many episodes? I think it's 16?
12.
Is it 12? Okay, that's what it was. It's 12. So and then I heard that it was 12. So I was like, all right, I think we're going to be okay. And then I watched this week's episode, not this week's, but 3 and then heading into 4. And I actually was like, oh, okay. All right, show, you proved me wrong. I see where we're going with this. Nice.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. Just FYI, Vicky has been slow on the subtitles for this one. So I've watched through 4, although I feel like I watched it a really long time ago. But it's I am really enjoying it. I'm loving Gosu in it. Yeah. I'm glad that because the last 2 shows I saw him in, he was so serious and dour. Right. And so this is just much more fun. Yeah. Much more fun. And also him with Ho Juno, who plays Jang Pansuk, our caretaker person who can cross into both worlds. I love the 2 of them together so much. It's like, passing the baton.
Yeah, exactly. You can already see, you can almost see the ending coming right now. With them too, for sure. For those 2. I'm heartbroken for our girl, ChaeWon, who's dead and is not accepting it. And I'm like, is there any way that we can change this? Like, I really desperately want it to change. It's not going to. It's a K-drama. There's no way it's going to change. No. But I'm enjoying that. And I have to say my favorite is probably Thomas, our little barista. Like I need to know his story. Like, he's so quirky and ancient is the wrong word, but he's so old timey and quirky that I'm just kind of like, Thomas, you intrigue me. What's going on?
I know. His body has been undiscovered for centuries, I think.
Centuries.
Fascinating. Yeah,
with his little page boy hat.
The blonde hair.
What's going on? Like the blonde hair and he looks like he's like, was in Germany or something. I'm like, what is happening right now? Yeah.
Yes. What's the land from Chitty Chitty Bang Bang?
Yeah.
Like that fake.
Like straight out of like a fake European land. Like, I'm just like, what weird Disney movie set did you die on? Like, what is happening? Yeah.
But I love this show. And it's starting to come together how everything is intertwined, because fate, these stories are all linking together and it's slowly coming together. And I love that discovery of all of that.
Yeah. So my question for you, Marisa, is what do you think? What is the deal with the orphans and the hair?
The orphans and the hair.
Yeah.
What's the hair? What do you mean?
They pulled hair off of all of them. So when they clocked the guy in the head with the wrench, and they showed it to the gangster. He's like, yeah, this will work. And he took the hair off of the thing, and they started DNA testing all these kids, all these orphans that they're killing. And then when the friend got in the car accident, they like ripped hair out of his head.
Oh, I don't know.
Put it in a baggie.
I don't know, because I'm also not really sure why, like, the fire at the orphanage was what that was supposed to either cover up, or was that an accident, or someone's going to be blamed and they're trying to cover it by killing all the orphans now, or somebody is the heir to the conglomerate, right? I don't know if that's Gosu or one of the orphans.
Are we headed into Kill It territory, where all the orphans were bred for organ harvesting? And now they need to get them all back because their DNA is linked to this great epic. That's what I wrote down. I was like, yeah.
That could be. I don't know. I'm clueless there.
Right.
But one of the big questions I have is our detective, Shin Juno, played by Ha-jun. If your fiance were missing, wouldn't you be a little more hysterical?
Yeah, his reaction,
or just a little more.
Is interesting.
Isn't it?
Like, I don't think he's involved, but I'm also like, it took you a week to realize she was missing because you guys had a fight? Like, I'm concerned with your lack of attention to what is happening in your life. Like, are you just...
You are a detective in the missing persons bureau.
Like, you have the skill set to know when something is wrong. Like, what is happening? Yeah. So I mean, there are a few places where you're like, okay, sure.
Okay, sure.
Okay, yeah. All right. But I'm actually, I was really surprised when I was watching episode 3 that it was over all of a sudden. I was like, oh, that went by really fast. Like, I really, like, there was no lag time at all. I really enjoyed it. So I'm looking forward to getting caught up in time for next week, for sure.
Yeah.
And then we've got Lie After Lie. And from what I'm hearing, Marisa, it is makjang extraordinaire.
Oh, yeah, it is. This is a very makjang-y makjang.
Yeah.
So melodramatic.
Is it good? Are you enjoying it? Okay, all right. Talk to me. What's going on?
She's been wrongly accused of murdering her abusive husband, and she's been locked away in prison, and she gave birth, and she had to give up the child to her evil, manipulative mother-in-law, who's probably like 7 years older than her.
Right, of course.
It is, and now she's out of prison. It's been 10 years, and she and her little newsboy Cap are on a revenge track, but it's so ridiculous and over the top, and I love it. This is the kind of K-drama that is just so...
Right? Super juicy.
Super juicy, hyperbole. It's so good.
And so...
It makes no sense.
When she went in, just to correct me if I'm wrong, she went into prison for murder, but when she got out, she got like massive overhaul plastic surgery to look like someone else so that she could go nanny for her child. Is that the story? No. Oh, I'm thinking of a different story then.
I think it might have... No, there's no plastic surgery.
They just don't recognize her?
Oh, no, the child was adopted. The child was adopted by somebody else.
Oh, I thought you said that she was adopted by the evil mother-in-law.
Oh, well, the mother-in-law decided that the daughter-in-law, Ji Yunsu, was going to have to suffer the loss the way that she did, and so she thinks she did away with the child. Oh,
gotcha.
Spoiler,
okay.
It doesn't matter. Spoilers don't matter on this because it's all just like how it unfolds, right? Or just how they all react. So the child, of course, did not die and was adopted by the journalist who never actually met with her in prison. But he seems to be a journalist with a strong sense of morality. But because of the manipulations of the CEO mother-in-law, he never actually got to her because he was probably going to fight for her. Because, she claimed a wrongful conviction.
Yeah.
So, but he randomly happens to adopt this girl. And
of course he does.
Of course he does.
Of course he does.
We're not, but the thing is, they've run into each other a couple of times. So I don't know how she's going to end up in the household, like marrying this journalist. I don't know. And I don't think maybe there's plastic surgery involved. I don't know. She's so lovely. But,
she is lovely, yeah.
The thing is though, as because you have to kind of swallow this hook, line, and sinker because it makes no sense, right? So she gets out of prison and she keeps going after her mother-in-law as if somehow every time she appears in front of her, the mother-in-law will somehow give up more information. You know, it's just like, you know, what is it? Like the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. That's exactly what's happening here. But, you know, it's just so mahjong-y and it's so over the top.
Nice. I know Caitlin is loving it. She's completely in love with the show. So very fun.
Yeah, it's soapy goodness.
Soapy good. It's so good. That's soapy goodness is why the reason we watch some of this shit, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Last but not least, ladies and gentlemen, Stranger 2. I am finally all in, and it's only episode 10. No?
I'm so confused and a lot disappointed, actually.
Really? Okay, why?
Yeah. Because I feel like they're just telling us so much instead of showing it to us. It's like there's so much talk. It's like their budget got slashed. So instead of showing that this cop and that cop and this happened, which they did at the beginning of the show, there's just so much talking on couches in offices.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree
and I'm just that. Like, so so now I'm at the point where I'm just confused and I don't, but are you seeing this spider web of clues and how everything's linked? Because I'm I don't know.
I'm starting to. I will say, to go along with you on like disappointment, my biggest disappointment is that we are not getting enough of Shimok and Yeojin together. Like they've had maybe collectively 15 minutes of screen time together. It's like, this is why we all wanted a season 2, was to see these two back together. Now, don't get me wrong. I enjoy them individually because they're fantastic actors and they command every scene they're in. But it's like, let's bring. I thought we finally got the duo back together last week when they started doing a little bit of the investigation. But yes, I am slowly starting to see where everything is tying together. And I've decided that based on what I know, and I could be completely wrong, but what I feel like I've sussed out, it all hinges on some shady deal that went down between Chaebit and Woo Tae-ha. And so that is something happened there where she covered the prosecution's ass on something. And so what fascinates me is that they're also the point people for the political aspects of the police versus the prosecution. And so that's where, and then obviously Lee Joon-hyuk tapped into something with all of those 3 cases. And so that's what I'm enjoying about it. Like, obviously they've laid all this out. And the first couple of episodes, I was like, what is happening? Like, is this a political thriller? Is this a corporate take? Like, what is going on? I feel like this week for me personally, because they kind of stayed out of the corporate aspect of it with Yoon Se-a's character, like we pretty much stayed out for that. I felt like it was a little bit more concise and straightforward, at least for me anyway.
Yeah, see, I don't really understand what's at stake. Like in Stranger 1, they were trying to solve a crime.
Yeah.
And in this one, there were a crime and maybe a crime, you know, but it's really unclear.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not sure how we got from the beach and the thing being torn down and to cover-ups with former prosecutors or judges becoming corporate lawyers. I'm not really quite sure how we got
Like I still haven't been able to make the beach situation fit into the rest of it. The rest of it I kind of have figured out, but the beach, I'm like, I don't know what's going on with that one. Like I feel like it's still going to come back, but we're already on episode 10. We've only got 6 left, right?
I know. So I'm really kind of confused. Like it's cops against the prosecutors, but I don't really know.
Right, but it's cops against the prosecutors, but the secret society is cops and prosecutors play together. So I find that kind of fascinating.
Right. And then we also have this like posse of really bad cops and that crime, like the suicide, maybe a murder. And I'm like, you're not. Can you link them all a little sooner? Because I'm just
they're definitely. Well, now that I think that Shimok has all 3 files, I think he's going to be able to work his mind magic. I love the way they shoot, the way his mind works. when he'll be driving and then all of a sudden the light will shift and suddenly he's there. I'm like, I freaking love it. Like every time they do that, I'm like, yes, go. Yeah. Let's see how his mind works. I love it. The other thing I'm also really loving is his like bromance that's kind of brewing with the other prosecutor, which is Kim Sa-hyun. I love that he's just like, what do you mean you don't know what being worried about someone is? And he's like, well, but he's like, he's oddly fascinated by Shimok, but he's also kind of like, what is up with you, dude? Like, yeah. And so I'm curious to see where he falls in the whole category. But yeah.
So I'm also super concerned about Prosecutor So, because he's been missing for a really long time.
I mean, even in the show, he's been missing for a week. Like, he's theoretically dead, right? Like, how did they find him in one piece? That's my question. I know,
because they've only showed us one scene with him kidnapped. Yeah. Really, not a lot. Again, so I don't really know what's at stake because no one's, I mean, I know they're all working trying to find him, but there's kind of, I'm not feeling a sense of urgency.
Yeah, no, I agree. And the other thing is they're also, and I think Stranger One did this as well, like the red herrings are flying like loose and free. And like, they're now trying to make us think something's up with the wife and something with the kid. And like, you're just kind of like, what's happening there? And who and what?
His prosecutor assistant, like, was he having an affair with her? Like, they kind of hinted at that for a hot second and then left that on the floor. So I don't know.
And this is one thing that just makes me laugh every week though. But Prosecutor Yoo Tae-ha, the chief prosecutor, he's got the worst poker face ever for a man who's supposed to be a prosecutor and investigator. He's always like, what? Oh, I have to go now. Running. Like, what are you doing, dude? Like, it's hilarious to me. Stop. No lunch. Come with us. What? No, we'll wait. It's like, oh my God, what's happening right now? Yeah. I mean, I love it. I'm enjoying it, but he tips his hand every week. It's just like,
I know.
Okay.
But so here's what, speaking of that, is like Shimok. Like, he doesn't really understand human emotions, yet somehow people are giving off all sorts of emotional clues every time he talks to like the head of the traffic division or talks to the assistant junior prosecutor. You know, she's a little cagey. It's like
he'd be able to figure this out. He'd like figure this out like that if he was able to like play off those. He's like,
and your boss
seems off, and your boss, right? Yeah. But I will say this: I am freaking loving Chae-bit, played by Jung Hae-jin, who's one of our favorites. Like, she is such a powerhouse, and I love the Tian teaming up with Bae Doona. Like, those two together are like a 1-2 Supergirl punch that I am in love with. Yeah, in love. Love it. I need Chae-bit to make it through this show in one piece, and we have a season 3. She comes back, and then she'll be back. I can't have her in prison. I can't, or dying. No, because I love her. No. I think she's so spectacular.
Yeah.
When that crazy guy came in for the meeting today, and like she stood up and she was like, "No," I was like, "Yeah."
I know. He was like, what?
I was like, oh, it's so good.
Don't piss her off.
No. So I'm actually starting to enjoy it. A couple of weeks ago, I was kind of like, I don't know what's happening. I don't know I don't know why it's happening. I'm starting to lose the thread, but I've grasped to a very tiny thread and hanging on for dear life.
That's right. And this leads into our top 3 moments of the week in K-drama that was. Because there was a moment in Stranger 2 that we were like, ooh.
So good. And that was
the big clue when they finally took the photo to the forensics analyst. It's a cop's watch that's in that photo. So this show is so amazing with the cliffhangers at the end of the episodes. It's so good. Oh my goodness.
So good. I love the fact that it was like, almost the reveal, and again, it's the reveal. Like, we kind of all knew there was going to be a big piece of information, right? Whether it was a face or something, but it was, I think they're flowers. Like, what's flowers? And then you just see our guy, slow-mo, active squad leader, Chae Yoon-soo, like, lift his thing, and you see that it's the exact same. It's a cop watch. It is the cops. Holy shit. And then you see Chae-bit getting shit thrown at her by her boss because he's like, you told me it wasn't the cops. And she's just like, shit. And, and the text going wild, like, around. Nobody hit it. Like, I was really excited about. I thought for a hot second that they were not going to tell Bae Doona's department. But I was like, oh, it was so sad. I found it horribly satisfying.
Oh yeah, it's totally revved things up for next week. So
yeah, and Shimuk is flying in because he knows something's up, and I'm like, yeah, so good, I love it.
So our second favorite moment of the week it's actually a lot of moments. From
right?
Do you like Brahms?
I do like Brahms so much.
There are just these beautiful, quiet moments where you can, for me, the ones that really stand out are when they're at Chunghaechon's stream. They're just sitting by the water, and it's just watching the two of them fall in love. It's so good.
It's so sweet. I love it. It's so beautiful. And it is. I love that that's like they're becoming their place where they just need to like be together. It's just so sweet. And it is those quiet moments. For me, the one that really stood out to me is when the three got together to rehearse for their musical piece. And the piano started and this very dramatic piano open. And then he came in with the cello and it was big and, just epic. And then she would stop. And then it was just silence, and they just all three stare at each other. Like the silence, like there was no music playing underneath it. Like it was just the use of like loud and quiet in this show is just so well done. And so that for me is why it was such a great moment.
Oh yeah, and if you notice the episode titles, they're all like pianissimo, which means like quieter. Like they're all musical terms for how loud or quiet or fast or slow things should be.
I assumed, but I didn't know for sure. Yeah.
This is all just so, this is so well done. And it's really, I think it's a new writer and a fairly new director, but man,
so good.
They have they figured out the medium. It is so good.
Yeah. They're working really well together. And then our third.
It had to be from Flower of Evil.
It had to be. Oh my God, it had to be. Oh yeah, Marisa, I literally I got a huge grin on my face. I clapped. I think I even screamed because you knew it was coming. We all knew it was coming. That Haesung was getting out of that wheelchair, right? We all knew he wasn't actually unable to walk, right?
Despite being in a coma for 18 years.
Right. I mean, again, washing over, right? He'd been getting physical therapy while in a coma to keep his muscles from atrophying, Marisa. Totally. Yes. Right? Yes. Totally. But when they did that shot of the housekeeper, and then in the frame, Becky's son's head like comes up, and then he stands and the music swells, and then they do a close-up. They do a close-up on the housekeeper, and then a close-up on mom. And it was everything for me. And I literally just clapped because and then he had the side where he's like completely please stop show. I love you already. And that just made it better.
So freaking dramatic.
Oh my God. I loved it so much. Like it was just so over the top dramatic and perfect. And it was everything I wanted. And it was the best reveal of a reveal. We all knew it was coming. So we already knew it was coming. You could not have played it any better. So that's why I loved it so much. So good. Such a good week. And it's so good to be back, you guys. It's so good to be talking with Marisa again about shows because I've missed it so much talking with her. And oh God, you guys, thanks so much for being here with us. And if you get a chance, go ahead and subscribe and like our channel, leave comments below. We all love it, right?
Now that we are back, and I hope you're enjoying our new look, we have surprises and gifts for you and giveaways, and they're all going to be rolling out over the next few weeks. So be sure to subscribe. It really helps our channel so that other K-drama lovers can find us.
And we're the KThree. I'm Jen.
I'm Marisa, and you are part of our K-drama copy klatch. So thank you for sharing your thoughts. We love hearing from you.
And if you guys want to get caught up on kind of what some of my thoughts were, I did some lives while we were on hiatus. You can go ahead and check those out. I still haven't figured out how to do this yet. There we go. You can go check those out right here. And we will see you next week. Bye.
Bye.